Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now, 865-243-TALK. That's 243-8255. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome to the Patrick Riggins Show. I am the New World Man. I seek a world apart from the one in which we now live. I seek a world with freedom and liberty for everyone. A world that exists as laid out in the Constitution of the United States of America. Sadly, this world no longer prevails. In its place, we have a bastardized version of socialism and communism. But with your help, we will roll back these isms and return to the days of respect for the document on which this country was founded. Helping to get the message out is this huge engine of a station, WNOX FM 100.3, pouring 100,000 watts of radio frequency power into the ether and allowing our call to action to be heard in 5 of these great southeastern United States, as well as both the eastern and central time zones. We aren't limited to just the southeast, though. We are also broadcasting all over the world via the internet. Just go to the station website at www.wnoxfm.com. There you can watch as well as listen to this radio show via the in-studio webcam. That address again is wnoxfm.com. And with us here in the studio is our show producer, Tori. Should I go more of a mudding big monster truck with that announcement there? Sunday! We should do a promo with that. Sunday. 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Sunday. Yeah. So I saw on Facebook you guys, the Invaders, played the other night.
Yes, we played last night.
Is it that long ago?
I'm still brain dead from it. Yeah, we played a birthday party out in Farragut last night.
Yeah, and then, as we mentioned last week, Court Jar's coming up.
The 15th, yes.
15th of September.
At the Well.
At the Well. Any news on the prior engagement there yet?
No, the 8th at Pilot Light is no-go. We're going to reschedule probably in October.
Well, I guess you're too big now. You need a bigger venue.
No, the bass player has a wife, and she has a birthday. And
here we go with this. And I suppose she wants him there for her birthay.
Yeah, well, you know how selfish women can be.
I know. That's why I don't have one.
Is that why?
That's why right there.
Is that the only reason?
Yeah. Now the call board will light up.
He's eligible, ladies.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Eligible, maybe not desired. All right. Well, okay, first off, before we get going down that road, as I do each and every week, I'd like to thank you for tuning in again to this show. I appreciate everyone who is listening and encourage you to tell others so you can constantly be winning new converts to an American way of thinking. It is the original way of thinking, the thinking that went into making this country what it is, a successful and prosperous country despite the free spending ways of our crooked government. With a little luck and a few good people willing to put in the work necessary to turn it around, we can start moving this country back to the principles of freedom, liberty, and staying the heck out of other people's business. That last one will be the most difficult, not only for our country, but for our people as well. I oftentimes remember what my parents would tell me if I tattled on one of my brothers or my sister. They would simply say, well, are they hurting you? Then stop tattling on them and mind your own business. So, very wise words to live by. If your neighbor is not hurting you and they are not hurting someone else, then it is none of your business what they are doing. I read something one time which has stayed with me. The vast majority of people are still children with grown-up bodies. And, for example, most 50-year-olds...
Thank you.
Tori's pointing at it. I don't think that you would fall into this category.
Don't really have the grown-up body either, though. Yeah. I'm a little short.
Little short person. Well, we just need to feed you more.
Vertically challenged.
There we go. Vertically challenged. And well, I'm what 5'3", so yeah.
The first 5'3" of you.
Yeah, all those phone calls from those women now just all hung up. So, they were going, well, if he's tall, I'll call, but if he's 5'3", forget it.
Just remember, you never look like what you should on the radio.
No, well, that's why you need to go to WNOXFM.com and you can bring it up, and then just be horribly disappointed. Horrified, yes, exactly. Well, they bring it up and they see Posey sitting over here, and then I come in and they see me, and now they just kind of tune back out, I think. I think they go back to listening to me on the radio.
Yes.
So, but anyway, well, this first segment just got derailed.
My fault.
No, I just didn't get to anything I wanted. So I'll mention real quick. We got 30 seconds. I'll mention real quick that, and I'll ask you about this, Tori. I was coming in today. Just a pointer. I'm just putting out to people out there driving. If you're driving down the interstate and you're getting passed on the right, maybe you need to get over. That's all I'm saying.
The left lane is for fast people. The right lane is for slow people.
The right lane is for grandmas. So if you're getting passed on the right, and I mean, if you're in a line of traffic, 15 cars long in the left lane, and people are passing you on the right, maybe you want to get over. Just something to think about while you're driving.
Yeah, if you're turning left 12 miles up Chapman Highway, it's okay to ride in the right-hand lane until you get to your destination. Then you can get over in the left lane. Not like coming across like Henley Street Bridge and you're going to turn left at Walmart.
Yeah, hit the seal. And then what they do is they get down to one, and then stop immediately, then turn left. So
that's today's road rage issues.
That's what this segment has just been about, road rage, and the fact that Patrick's single, I guess. Anyway, we're up on a break. Yeah, you see, David does his last show today, and then this attitude, this freewheeling attitude just flows over into my show. So we were up on a break. We have a full show this week despite the first segment. We'll get started right after these quick messages. This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. Spinning some Don Henley there, singing about the news media's obsession with everyone's dirty laundry. I would like to relate this back to this rash of shootings we've had recently. The problem isn't guns, as some gun control people have said as they try and take advantage of a bad situation. I think the problem is the sensationalizing of these events when they occur. For a good parallel, look to the problem sports teams used to have with people running onto the field. The media would show them over and over every broadcast that day. So what happens when you reward an activity? You get more of it. And more games started being interrupted with fans running onto the field. Then someone in media got the bright idea, hey, maybe if we stopped showing these jackasses, then they'll stop doing it. So whenever someone ran onto the field after that, the media would ignore them. Not even the commentators would remark on it. Instead of people laughing at them, both at home and in the stadium, people started getting mad, and the joy of running on the field lost its luster. The same thing happens when a shooting occurs. The media all rush to interview anyone and everyone even remotely associated with it. They start scanning the internet, Facebook, Twitter, looking for any scrap of information so they can scoop the other news organizations. In the meantime, the host of the news shows have nothing new to add, So they continue repeating the news story over and over and over, providing hours upon hours of publicity for the idiot who committed the crime. Well, what does all this attention do? Why, it shows all the other potential idiots out there that if they want to be famous, this is a real good way to achieve it. For a person who is not wired correctly mentally, this is the ultimate enticement. The same thing has been demonstrated to occur with suicides. So much so that it has been given a name, the Werther effect. When one suicide leads to others done in the same fashion as the first, it's called a suicide contagion. So how should we deal with this problem? The same way we dealt with it in sports. Not even mention it. What good does it do anyway? Some people get shot in a movie theater in Colorado. If it was someone you know, you'll most likely be getting a phone call from their family when the police notify them about it. Wouldn't you rather hear about it from someone in their family you know and trust than seeing it on the news anyway? If you don't know anyone there, then how does it help you to know it now? The numbers vary somewhat, but there are 45 murders per day on average in the United States. Does that help you in your life knowing that? Does killing people all at once in one place or spreading them out over the whole country make any difference? Those people are all just as dead, and your life goes on as it did before. Does the news media bombarding the families, friends, and neighbors of these slain people do anything to help them in their time of grief? Does dealing with the loss of a loved one get any easier with a microphone stuck in your face? So, if it isn't helping the people involved, and it really doesn't help you, then why bother covering it? The answer is because the news media is so competitive right now. That's why. The internet has changed the whole ball game. You don't have to watch the evening news anymore. You can get your news instantly over the internet or via cable or satellite TV, even your phone. So trying to scoop each other means more viewers to the broadcasters. And more viewers equals higher rates for advertising, and thus more money for the news and oftentimes now its parent company. But what is the cost? By sensationalizing the event is not some of the blood of the people hurt or killed by the next psycho on the hands of the news media? I would argue that it is, because they are encouraging the next person who seeks infamy via the 24/7 news cycle. Unfortunately, they will receive it because I don't think anyone in the news industry is going to take the chance on not reporting something because of the fear that the other news organizations will. I think if one news channel would come out publicly and announce they were going to take a stand on principle, and even if it meant less viewers, they were not going to give these people the glory they so fervently crave. If they would do that, well, first I would think I was dreaming. But second, I think people would respect that and reward them for doing the right thing, especially if it was explained that by broadcasting these events, it is only encouraging them to reoccur. If another news organization decided to go ahead with the standard operating procedure and do 24/7 coverage, the next time it happens, people would pin the blame on, or part of it anyway, on that news channel, whether rightly deserved or not, and that organization would be shamed into falling into line with the rest of the news media, just like we've done with the sports. I'm not advocating censorship, far from it. I'm advocating an industry that would self-regulate itself without any governmental interference. But for self-regulation to occur, the audience must demand it from the providers. They are ultimately going to respond to people watching or listening to their news broadcast. Again, as I say on this show about every week, you have to stop watching life go by and start participating. Just like with your elected representatives, you have to hold people accountable in order to make them change. If a news story sparks a flood of angry phone calls, you can bet they'll think twice about covering it again and just blowing it out of proportion and making it this huge news sensation. If by not covering the next shooting or similar act of violence, I think it would go a long way to reducing the number and severity of these incidents. It does go without saying, though, by allowing people to exercise their constitutional right to defend themselves against aggression, that also would go a long way to curtailing these events as well. By the way, does anyone else find it appalling I would even have to speak that last sentence in the United States of America? That if the government would allow their citizens to exercise one of their most basic rights, that of self-preservation, that these types of events would not occur as frequently. Oh, well, that's a topic for another show, actually. And it's not even really a gun control topic. To digress a little, the gun is just a tool, much like this radio microphone is in front of me. I use this microphone to exercise my freedom of speech, or as much as I can within the bounds set by the radio station. In that same way, you can use a gun to exercise your right of self-protection against the aggression of another, just as you can use your fist, or a knife, or even a board or a stick or something. You just have to be sure your level of protection, of course, outmatches their level of aggression, whether that be through material goods such as having a gun if they have a knife, or through better and more frequent training such as hitting what you aim at. But the fact of the matter is, I really think the media does a lot to encourage these types of things when we go wall to wall 24/7 and we're interviewing anybody who was even remotely associated with these people. Then the very person that's doing it is often doing it for this mixed up definition of fame and glory. That's what they want. That feeds their ego or feeds their pride, just encourages them in this fantasy. And when other people see this, and they're not all the way together anyway, they want this same glory, this same fantasy. By sensationalizing this over and over again, even days later, it just encourages this same thing. Anyway, we're up on the break here already, the half-hour break. And this is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show. When we come back for the second half hour, we'll have some news about foreign wars and a couple other things the TSA is doing if we get to it. And we'll get to your calls, too. We'll try to work those in as well. This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. Playing a little bit of slow music there, so Tori will ease back a little. And well, you have a little coffee with that show or song.
Feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah.
Love you, Patrick.
Yeah. I love you, man.
Love you, man.
This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show. And we're going to break with tradition just a little bit here and pick up a caller right here at the first of the half-hour break here. It's having to do with the news coverage with that last segment there on the media and dirty laundry. So we'll go to Mike here in La Follette. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good. What you got for us today?
I just wanted to comment,
Sure.
if the whole media covering the mass shootings, if shooting 80 people is not a news story, I don't know what qualifies as news.
Yeah. But does it help? That's
Does it help? I mean, it's good to know, but does it influence other shooters? I'm a firm believer in personal responsibility, and people are going to be crazy, and if they want to shoot someone, they're going to kill some people, no matter what. If you outlaw guns, then they'll have bombs.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about outlawing guns. We're not talking about.
I know, but the whole gun control issue that you had brought up earlier. I agree. It's just nonsense.
Oh yeah. Well, if someone, that issue's been beat to death. But if someone had a gun in a lot of these places, that would have been stopped immediately.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think what just kills the news is the fact that it's trial by media now. They don't wait for the facts; they just report it. And then, covering Kardashian and Snooki and everything.
I heard that during the break. I was like, is this what we're reduced to?
I lost credibility for the news on that.
Yeah, I don't really care what Snooki's up to.
Here's, what we, think and you're supposed to believe.
Yeah. Well,
just wait, gather the facts, report the facts, like old news media used to do.
Well,
you're right. The internet kind of sped that whole process up.
Yeah, it's a rush to judgment, and just like who was it? ABC that when they had the shooter in Colorado and immediately found the guy on Facebook.
It was NBC. If you're talking about Brian Ross.
Brian Ross, yeah, and had the wrong guay. And he ended up having to change his phone number.
Also, years and years and years ago, news actually had some integrity to it, too.
Yeah. Well,
I agree. It's just about ratings. But, if reporting on it, inspires copycats, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I really don't. I mean, just look at the school shootings.
Yeah, well, we had a rash of
covers. Did that inspire other people?
Actually, it did. It did inspire a couple of. We had kind of a little rash of shootings right after that. That was the problem, I think. Now, of course, you walk a slope here.
Shootings, or was the fact that it was their own lives and that's just what they wanted to do?
Yeah,
and they just gave them like the extra oomph to do it.
That's what it does.
Was it their primary reason? I don't think so. Was it just another one on top of their lives? That's what I think.
That's what it is. Well, that's what I was talking about as far as the suicides are concerned. They've shown where actually that is the impetus to push someone to go ahead and kill themselves. That's why they don't give a lot of coverage to that now, is because that is the problem that they run into. As they start having.
Well, I'll tell you what, because what was the last main one? Tony Scott, the director. If I see more people jumping off of bridges and saying that Tony Scott made me do it.
Yeah.
I might go with that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's sitting around and see a school shooting or see somebody jump off a bridge. Well, that's a good idea. Yeah. I never thought of it. Let's do that.
Well, like I said, I
don't know. I mean, some people are like lemmings. I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, we do have a large part of this population that would qualify as lemmings.
I know, but it's just, I believe personal responsibility, personal experiences, and that's just what they wanted to do. This just kind of gave them another reason. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily the fact that it's being reported. I mean, some things are overreported to death, and then some things aren't. Like I was listening to Corda earlier today, and he was talking about the Shannon Christian, or the Christian Newsom's murder.
Yeah.
And that hardly got reported.
Yeah.
But,
all right, Mike.
Just pick and choose, so.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I appreciate your call, Mike. Appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
We'll jump right here to John in Knoxville real quick here. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, hey.
Hey.
Your topic, I had just running through town here, and I had the radio on, and it was kind of...
Are you staying out of that left lane?
Yeah, I'm going 45 in the left lane there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just doing my part. The topic, though, this past week, there was a local radio station that had one of the three people that breached security over at Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
They had her on the radio live, interviewing her and having her talk with call-ins.
I didn't catch that.
Now, that to me, I still get absolutely wound up when I think about it. There will be somebody out there sitting in their basement in their underwear who heard that going, that's how I do it.
Yeah.
They're going to go out and commit a felony just like this lady did because they want their 15 minutes of fame.
Sure.
They can get their point of view across. Hopefully it'll end as peacefully as this one in Oak Ridge did. But that woman on the radio that morning said that she was prepared to die when she broke through that fence. What does she get? She gets
that's
live
that's the
airtime
problem
on our local radio station. It is the most irresponsible thing that I have heard on the radio was this station doing what they did. There is absolutely no responsibility on their part.
Sure.
I mean, isn't there a law or something against that?
Well, it's freedom of the press, but like all freedoms, you have responsibilities that go along with that.
But I mean, she was allowed to testify on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
now there's
you would think that somebody, Attorney General's office or somebody, would have stopped that.
Well, there's a law they can't make money, you know, off that. I believe that's if you went out and you were a serial killer or something, then you can't write a book and make money off of it.
What troubles me is that somebody who wants to make a political statement, who doesn't have a venue to do that, will look at this and say, well, hey, you know, she did this, nobody got hurt, and look, she got a chance to talk to everybody on the radio and tell her point of view.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of my point. And so media has a responsibility, and I think they're abdicating that responsibility. I don't think they're living up to it, and I understand why they're doing it, because it's a business thing. That station that gets that person on the air is going to get a lot of listeners.
It's all money, baby.
But yeah, at what point do you say we can't do that? And like we did in sports, we don't show people running on the field, although people would love to see it. But we don't. We've made the decision we're not going to show that because it's not productive.
Well, have you noticed, like in baseball now, when somebody jumps out of the stands and goes streaking across the field, they don't show that anymore. They don't show people throwing trash out of the stand onto the field. They'd at least gone that far, and not to show that to try to dissuade it.
It discourages that.
Yeah.
You don't get more of it. See, that's what, like anything in this nation, you're going to get more of the activity you reward. So if we reward someone who doesn't work by giving them money, you're going to get more people not working. And if we give people the glory and fame that a lot of these people who are a little mentally unstable crave, now we're showing them, hey, this is the outlet. This is the way to get it.
Yeah, what did the guy who shot Reagan, he was trying to impress Jodie Foster?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's the mindset. You can't, they don't think logically, the people who are capable of doing these things.
Yeah.
And, this 80-year-old woman who broke into Oak Ridge, when they asked her about Iran and Ahmadinejad, she said that Iran's not going to waste their precious resources on nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
She doesn't have both oars in the water.
No. Well, she's an idealist.
Well, yeah, and but she's probably prompted or sparked some more idealists out there, and that really concerns me.
Yeah, that'll be the problem. But all right, we're coming on the break, Mike. John, I really appreciate your call.
No problem. Thanks.
Thank you. And we're up on the last break here of the show.
I do guarantee you, any cameras or anything that they did not have running at that plant, I'd say they're pretty much everything's fixed now. I don't think nobody's going to be getting nowhere near it now.
Yeah, they'll be overreacting if anything.
Yeah, I believe they got all the problems fixed, I would say now. Heads have rolled, and
yeah, hopefully they've got that buckled down now. So
the security, I'm sure, is
tight. Yeah. All right, we're up on the last segment. This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be back with the last part of the show, and we'll see what we get into. Join us here in a couple of minutes.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back. This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show. not a member of the news media. We were just discussing that before we came back from the thing. Tori and I are more of entertainment.
Entertainment media, not news media.
Yeah.
I don't report news.
We entertain and inform. Well, by the time Sunday rolls around, just about all the news has been reported. So
if you're getting any news from me, you're very misinformed.
Or uninformed. So,
there, see?
But what they do get on this show is a view that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Basically, that's why people tune in, because you can listen to the right side tell you why you should do what they want you to do, and you can listen to the left side and they'll tell you why you should do what they want you to do, and then you can listen to this show and you can learn why you should just do it the American way, and that's what we advocate here. Anyway, real quick for this last segment, there's something kind of gnawing at me here, and we'll see how much, well, we probably won't have time to take calls, so we might have to hold people over till next week. Anyway, we have been beating this war drum over and over again for what seems like forever now. We had to go to Iraq. We had to go to Afghanistan. Now we need to go to Syria. Now we need to embargo Iran. Incidentally, one of the reasons in our Declaration of Independence that we wanted to break with England was because they were cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. Something, by the way, we're actively doing now with Iran, Cuba, and assorted other countries. What are these countries doing to threaten us? I guess that's the question. So far, according to the Defense Department, we have lost 4,400, almost 4,500 American lives in the Iraq War, with almost 32,000 wounded. We have had a little over 2,000 Americans killed in Afghanistan, with about 17,000 wounded. This doesn't even factor in the monetary costs, which have run into the trillions of dollars. Trillions. About 3 of them and counting, by the way. All for what? I'm getting so tired of our people being hurt and killed for the sake of another country that is not a threat to the United States. These soldiers aren't dying for liberty or freedom. They are dying because our leaders have made asinine decisions, and our military personnel are the ones paying for it. Now, if these countries are trying to invade or conquer the United States, then fighting for our country would be fine. Great, fantastic. But we have not been invaded. Someone say we were attacked on 9/11. Correct. And everyone who attacked us is dead. On July 20th, and we just talked about this, James Holmes shot up a theater in Colorado, killed 12 people, wounded 58. On August 5th, Wade Michael Page opened fire at a Sikh temple, killing 6 people and wounding 3. One of the questions I want you to consider is, and you can think about this week as you go throughout your week, did we kill these 2 guys? Did we kill their family and friends in retaliation after these horrific crimes? Did we go in and destroy their houses? No, of course not. If we did, we'd be no better than those 2 maniacs who murdered innocent people. Friedrich Nietzsche once stated, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." So, if we don't kill criminals' family and friends, why is it okay to bomb another country, killing people who had nothing to do with the crime, just because they happen to be in the same country or even friends with a terrorist? Does not equality extend to everyone in the human race? Or is it just Americans? Is it not self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? The terrorists are fighting against us in these countries. Well, of course, a lot of people who are fighting against us because they see us as intruders. Just like if someone invaded our country, we would put our differences aside and fight them. What I want you to do is educate yourself. I would say probably close to 100% of the listeners of this show have internet access of some form or another. Look up Iran in Wikipedia and read about what we've been doing over there for all these years. For example, Operation Ajax. Or even find out what our government's doing. Also, you could Google Wikipedia and go in there and look up Operation Northwoods. That was a plot by our own government to commit acts of terrorism against U.S. citizens within our own country and blame it on Cuba. Also, we would have a reason to go to war with them. It was ultimately rejected by President Kennedy, but the fact that people in our government even came up with this sort of idea should worry you. It is no wonder countries around the globe are suspicious of us. What we have criticized Russia for doing, we have been doing all along as well. The argument is we are the good guys, so it's okay for us to meddle in other countries' affairs. We are doing it for the right reasons. Are we? Those countries' leaders oppress their people. But what is it that our government is doing? Take a look at the TSA and how they are ignoring the rights of our citizens, or the DEA, or the ATF, or even the FBI. When did it become okay for an agent of the federal government to write and execute their own search warrants without a judge's approval first?
Ooh, can we put IRS on there too?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you.
All sorts of alphabetical things. You know, we used to laugh at this sort of thing when you heard about secret police and people disappearing in the middle of the night in the old USSR. You'd think it wouldn't happen here. And if you don't, just ask Brandon Raub, the former Marine who made some stupid remarks on his Facebook page. So what resulted in, he is, quote, detained, unquote, on August 16th by local and federal authorities based on what he had written. Again, what he had written. So what happened was he was initially taken to John Randolph Medical Center, and he is held over the weekend for a preliminary evaluation. Another judge on August 20th said, yeah, we need to detain him for an additional month. It was only a judge in Prince George County, Alan Sherritt, who ruled that this was an involuntary commitment order issued by a magistrate against Brandon, and it was invalid because it contained no allegation or basis to hold him. So here was someone who was not charged with any crime and being held against his will by the government of the United States. Will any local or federal official be held responsible for violating his rights? Personally, I wouldn't hold my breath on that happening. This is what happens when you're going into a totalitarian society. This is what happens. These are things we used to make fun of about in other countries and totalitarian regimes, that they had secret police and they'd abduct people. What I want you to do is just wake up and think about these things. Think about these things that you read about in the paper from a libertarian perspective and from an American rights perspective and freedoms perspective. Anyway, we're rolling up on the end of the show here. This show just flies by, another hour, and what I'd like to do is thank you again for listening this week. Thank Tori for hosting, or kind of co-hosting the show almost, and producing this show.
Hosting, yes. Yeah. Heck of a host.
Heck of a host, yeah. And I also want to thank, real quick, David Posey there. He had a good show there, and I really enjoyed following him up. He's a good guy, isn't he, Tori? And
yes, Dave's a really good guy.
Really good guy. If you'd like more information about our Facebook, or about us, you can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. You can also get us on Twitter at Patrick Riggins, and you can go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. There's all the old shows on there, and this show will be on there probably tonight or tomorrow after they cut it all down and take all the commercials out and everything. Join me again next Sunday afternoon, where once again we'll talk about freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution, and maybe 10 or 15 other things. This is Patrick Riggins. We'll see you next Sunday afternoon. Have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on the Patrick Riggins Show, every Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. Be there.